I'm here at 616 Wood Street at the Molly Fleming house, which is the only private residence here in California to be listed on the National Registry. Let's go on inside. Hi, I'm Bree Baker here with
Barry Nikolai.
First and foremost, we'd love to thank you for welcoming us into this house. We're very excited.
Cool.
My first question is, how was the process of getting the house on the registry?
Well, it's well documented on the internet, and there are a lot of forms and things that you have to complete in order for the state and then the National Registry to recognize the home as significant. This home was found to be a regionally significant example of a middle-class house. And over the years, the house being built in 1912, there were very, very little renovations done to the kitchen and maybe the bathroom. But the rest of it was intact originally, and that's what really gave it the edge in getting named to the National Register.
Okay. And how can you maintain the original features?
Well, it takes a lot of paint and a lot of repairs because, being built in 1912, that's, over 100 years old, and things do fall apart. But I think I've replaced just about everything that needed to replace other than regular maintenance like painting over the years. So, yeah.
And why did you purchase this house?
I've always had an interest in historical things. My dad taught me a long time ago the intrinsic value of being able to collect things for posterity. Welcome to the largest room in the house, the dining room. And lore has it that the prior owners of the house were planning on putting a drop ceiling in here. As you can see, it has a relatively intricate inlaid ceiling.
Molly Williams was born in 1892 in Belle Vernon. She then married Samuel Fleming, an immigrant who was the assistant manager of the Pittsburgh Mercantile Company store here in California. After Samuel died of tuberculosis, it is assumed that Molly erected the present house with her husband's money 2 years later. She soon moved out of town, remarried, and returned to town, becoming Molly Minnick. Molly died in 1961 and is buried next to her first husband, Samuel Fleming, here at California's Highland Cemetery. The Molly Fleming house was built in 1912. It is an excellent regional example of an early 20th century middle-class bungalow house. The Molly Fleming house retains many original details, including the wraparound porch with original light fixtures, exposed rafter ends, an elaborately carved main stair, original hardwood floors and baseboards, and an elaborate dining room with a covered ceiling and an intact bay window.
These are all individual felts that were available when you purchased, I believed, laundry soap. So every box or bag of laundry soap, you got one of these tiles. So over the years, she was able to collect all of these tiles and sew it into a blanket. But it's international flags. This fire truck is a 1923 American LaFrance that was here in town. And it left California decades ago. And Pete Capana, Dave Orlandi, and Butch Knight actually tracked this down in the state of Texas. We bought the fire truck. We've got it back here. We have it apart, and we're working on restoring that. Now, it's been a 10-year project so far, but we'll continue to get it done until that 1923 fire truck from the California Fire Department is back home. You'll see advertising calendars from various local neighborhood stores. California used to have a lot of local neighborhood stores. This is from the Zahan grocery store, and it was on Park Street here in town. Over here, you have one from the Coatsworth brothers, who was on Wood Street in town. Frank Zanetta grocery store was in Granville. He operated a grocery store there. I was able to acquire the proof of the portrait of Dr. John Pierce Watkins, who was president at California University. And it was done by another faculty member in the art department, Ray Dunleavy. Again, this was kind of a practice proof of the actual portrait that hangs in President's Hall in Old Main. This is an old graduation certificate from the Normal College. This is a brick from the old Republican grade school, which is located where Sudsy's car wash is right now. And I think it was Mrs. Anderson, one of the former teachers, who took a project to make those covers for the bricks from the school and sell it as a fundraiser. So that's pretty cool. I found this panoramic photo from an auction here in town. That is actually a block of wood from North Hall that was torn down. P.O. Peterson method of writing. It was actually a class in school, elementary school, that taught us how to write in cursive. So it was called the P.O. Peterson method. He was actually from Greensburg, but had his writing program throughout the United States and how to teach students penmanship. This is actually my grandmother on my mother's side, Mary Tahanis. That's her certificate of passing the P.O. Peterson School of Penmanship. A lot of artwork by the late Frank Malega. Frank was known as the Andy Warhol of Brownsville, Pennsylvania. He started out as a sign painter and got into various mediums of art. So I was able to get a lot of his original pieces. This is one of Old Main in California. These two are identical pictures done by an artist by the name of Angus Duple. He was a professor of art at California back in the day. And if you ever go to the Chuck Wagon, you'll notice that mural on the wall, back in the bottom right-hand corner, has Angus Duple's signature on it. So
the Cowboys are all left-handed.
Because he used overhead projector. Yeah. For our friends in Roscoe, many people take pride in having a beer bottle from the Moose Brewing Company in Roscoe. However, the real treasures are the ones that have the Lucyville name on it, because Roscoe was Lucyville before becoming Roscoe. So the older bottles have Lucyville on them. So fortunate to have one of those. Sam Thompson Distillery was in Brownsville. Park and Tilford Distillery was in Brownsville. So I have a whiskey case. Actually have Sam Thompson bottles and then a Park and Tilford bottle there as well. So that's the whiskey part of the tour. The rest of these, I don't know if you panned these or not, but these are all local dairies. Kilikoski's, Granville, AB's, all in the California area. A great uncle of mine was Armand Nikolai, originally from Dunbar, Pennsylvania, but ended up playing for the Steelers in the 1930s. Here's his football card. Here's another football card. And this is actually on one of the Steeler tickets. He consistently comes up in the Steelers' greatest players. He was a kicker, and he had the scoring record for the Steelers until Roy Girella, as a kicker, beat him out of that. This is a piece of local art from the Pittsburgh area, and he's done this with other things as well. But this is, of course, Acrisure Stadium. But what it is the name of every Steeler that ever played on the team. Yep, Nikolai, right there. And you can see he's towards the top, so he was one of the first. This is down at the library. Here's the library. It was a train station back then. But this caption says, "A California program during World War I." The banner in the background reads, "Slovaks of Daisy Town, we are for the Allies, to hell with the Kaiser." The piano was in town, was the property of a nun that it was assigned to the former St. Thomas Aquinas Church. It was in her family since 1897, and she was leaving the area and couldn't take the piano with her, so I offered to give it a good home. On top of the piano are several things that come from my family as well as things that are relative to me. And some of them are twofers. This again is another Frank Malega sketch of an accordion player. I've been playing the accordion since I was in 3rd grade. So you'll see a lot of accordion player type figurines. The violin, the fiddle, was my great-grandfather's on my mother's side. The 2 clarinets were my great-grandfather's on my dad's side. Over here we have some memorabilia of the California American Legion that went defunct. I was able to find that trophy from the 1930s at a thrift store in Charleroi.
Along with the Molly Fleming house, this here, the Gallagher house, was also put on the National Register as a residence. However, now it is used as the California Historical Society. Along with those, the public library, used to be the train station, is also on the registry, and Old Main at Penn West, California.
Each one of those pins activates a note. So these are called cobs, and I have several of them down there, different songs. I have said I was an accordion player, and I've taken an interest in reed organs. Reed organs were very popular in the 1800s, no electricity required, and they were in every house, a lot of houses, to provide entertainment. This particular reed organ is what they call a chapel organ, in that it has a more sophisticated interior and has the loudness to actually be used in a church. So this came from a church in Wellsville, New York, and it was built in 1906. But it sounds wonderful. Or it can get louder. Here's in organ terms, there's a term called pull out all the stops. Have you heard that used in language? You know, come on guys, pull out all the stops, get it going. That actually originated from an organ because these are called stops. And the more stops you pull, the louder different sounds it makes. See, this sound can be that sound, different sounds. So when you pull out all the stops, those are all layered on top of each other. But you can cheat and pull out all the stops by these knee things. So now watch this.